he firmly adheres to the One China principle. He stated that establishing diplomatic relations with China has been the most important decision since the country's independence. During his first visit to China as Prime Minister, he expressed his desire to learn from China's development experience and to expand pragmatic cooperation across various fields. Jeremiah Manele, Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands, sat down in an exclusive interview with Leaders Talk.
Hello and welcome to Leaders Talk, where we meet leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I'm So Yun. Our guest today is the new Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands, Jeremiah Manele. Over the past 5 years, bilateral relations have developed rapidly. Now visiting China as a Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, what's his outlook on future trajectory of the bilateral relations? Under the Belt and Road Initiative, what have Chinese-built infrastructure projects brought to the country? And as Solomon Islands is facing increasingly severe climate issues, what kind of regional and global cooperation is Mr. Prime Minister calling for? Let's find all these answers in our conversation with him. Prime Minister Manele, thank you so much for joining us on Leaders Talk. Well, this is your very first official visit to China as Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands. So how's the trip so far? And could you share with us some of the highlights and major takeaways from the trip?
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. So far, so good. We began the visit in Fujian Province. Very worthwhile visit there, learning how President Xi Jinping, I understand, spent 17 years of his early career in that province. But also we took the opportunity to visit the Fujian Agriculture and Forestry University, and we had discussions and dialogue with the staff there at the university.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, you were in China in 2019 as the then Foreign Minister of the Solomon Islands and signed a joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. So, witnessing this historic process from a front row seat, how do you evaluate this decision 5 years later?
I think we made the right decision to be on the right side of history. A lot of developments, cooperation between the two countries has happened since 2019, and we are grateful for China's support during the last 5 years, and we look forward to continuing that partnership and cooperation.
In 2019, Jeremiah Manele, then serving as the Foreign Minister of the Solomon Islands, visited China and signed a joint communique with the Chinese side, formally establishing diplomatic relations between the two countries. 5 years on, the bilateral relationship has developed rapidly, yielding substantial results in pragmatic cooperation. The sports facilities built with Chinese assistance have become new landmarks in the nation's capital. Chinese medical teams and police advisors have been dispatched to the Solomon Islands, contributing to the improvement of local medical conditions and the maintenance of social stability. In May 2024, Jeremiah Manele was elected Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands. 2 months later, he made an official visit to China. On July 12, President Xi Jinping met with Prime Minister Manele, and the two sides issued a joint statement, agreeing to deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership of mutual respect and common development in the new era, and to build a China-Solomon Islands community with a shared future.
As we all know, the core of this diplomatic relations is that the Solomon Islands recognizes that there is but one China in the world, and the government of People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the whole of China, and Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. So as the new Prime Minister, how do you plan to lead your government in upholding the One China principle?
I came here on this visit to once again reaffirm our commitment to the One China principle. And I have expressed this to the Premier, who I met yesterday, as well as to the President, who I met this afternoon.
What is your take on some of the countries who are trying to violate the One China principle by attempting to interfere in the Taiwan question?
We call on countries, all countries, to respect every country, to respect the One China principle. Here we are all sovereign, independent countries. And the UN Charter is very clear. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity is one of those fundamental UN principles.
As you mentioned that you met with President Xi earlier this afternoon at the Great Hall of the People, exchanging ideas on some of the issues concerning bilateral relations and the world development at large. So what impressed you the most about your meeting with President Xi?
I commend President Xi Jinping. Over the last years, he has initiatives that the international community should consider and should advocate. For example, the Global Development Initiative.
Exactly. What do you think of those, or the global significance of those initiatives?
They're all based on peaceful coexistence. They're all based on respect for each other. They're all based on a world sharing a common future. So these are commendable efforts. I pay tribute to President Xi Jinping for his visionary leadership.
You've met with President Xi a couple of times now. What kind of leader he is in your eyes, and how do you understand his political thoughts and governance of approach?
He's a great leader. He wants to do something good for China, which he has done, but he also wants to share that experience, the successes that he has done in this country for other developing countries. And as a developing country, Solomon Islands, we would like to learn from China in terms of your development experiences. We would like to work with you and see how we can also benefit from your development experience and do the same in our own country.
Well, one of the most important issues touched upon during your meeting with President Xi is about building a community of shared future between the Solomon Islands and China in the new era. So how do we envision that, as well as in further enhancing this bilateral relation moving forward?
Moving forward, Solomon Islands, my government, we will continue to work with China, with President Xi Jinping. Of course, the context in terms of size could be different. China is a huge country. Solomon Islands is a very, very small country. But the approaches, the principles, I believe, more or less the same. I mean, they are applicable to Solomon Islands. I'm very confident that our relations with China will grow from strength to strength.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference. Facing the unknown is always difficult. In a world in turmoil, it's easy to lose orientation. But when the storms come, we have to see the possibilities. Reinvent. Find new opportunities. Discover a path forward. CGTN. See the difference.
The Solomon Islands are located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, 485 kilometers east of Papua New Guinea, and across the sea from Vanuatu to the southeast. The country comprises more than 900 islands of various sizes. Upon being elected Prime Minister, Jeremiah Manele expressed his hope that the nation would become one filled with joy, peace, progress, and prosperity, as sung in the national anthem. In the newly released National Economic Development Plan, advancing infrastructure construction is key. Manele believes that in this regard, China has long been the Solomon Islands' greatest partner.
Mr. Prime Minister, when you were first elected as Prime Minister, you said, and I quote here, leading a nation is never an easy task. And recently you said in an interview expressing your aspiration for the country to develop into a nation with joy, peace, progress, and prosperity, as foreshadowed in the national anthem of the Solomon Islands. So what is your plan to achieve that mission?
That's where reviving and growing the economy is critical. We have to ensure that people have jobs, there are employment opportunities, so that they have income opportunities to have income, so that they can meet basic needs and services. These are important preconditions, basis for joy, peace, and prosperity. Because if they're absent, if they're not there, then it will be very difficult to achieve what is in our national anthem, which itself is our prayer. It's a national prayer.
One of the priorities now for your government is delivering an economic plan. And can you share with us, taking this opportunity, about some of the key thoughts that you will put in this national economic plan? And under this framework, what kind of cooperation do you look forward to enhancing with China? What kind of areas or what kind of initiatives do you look forward to?
Part of this economic plan is infrastructure building. But so far, China has become our biggest infrastructure development partner. As a country, we need more roads, we need more airstrips, we need more energy, we need more telecommunications. These are important pieces of economic infrastructure. But there is also a need for social infrastructure. Schools, clinics, hospitals will continue to be critical. We have a growing population, so there will continue to be need for more classrooms, more hospitals. So striking that balance is important. But as you know, any country has to create an economic growth that is far beyond or much more higher than the population growth. For us, it's a challenge at the moment.
Actually, Solomon Islands joined China's Belt and Road Initiative not long after this diplomatic relations was established. So located on the southern extension of the 21st Maritime Silk Road, what do you think are the significance of the Belt and Road Initiative proposed by President Xi, and what is your take on enhancing the synergies between the Belt and Road and the broader economic strategy of your government?
There is a direct link, very, very important for us, the BRI, which we are a part of now. And under the BRI, we already have a number of projects that China is assisting us with. And during this trip, we have also signed an understanding linking the BRI to our national development strategy. So there is alignment in terms of the BRI and the Solomon Islands National Development Strategy 2016 to 2035.
Well, climate issues is definitely always at the heart of Pacific Island countries. And you've previously said, and I quote, the Pacific Island countries as well as the Caribbean countries are and will always be at the forefront of climate events generated through changing global climate systems. So how do you envision enhancing cooperation with China in addressing, pressing issues of climate change as well as environmental protection?
One of the areas that we would like to explore cooperation with China on as it relates to climate change, especially on the mitigation front, is investments in renewable energy, green energy, solar energy. We need this especially not only in the province or in the capital or near, but also in our provincial centers. So investments in renewable energy are critical in terms of mitigation efforts. If communities have access to renewable energy, then that should increase their chances to meet or achieve some of the SDG targets and goals, the Sustainable Development Targets and Goals. Yeah. So that's an area that during the visit, we visited one of the Chinese energy companies here, and they're keen to visit Solomon Islands and explore opportunities to set up business there.
So what do you think the enhanced ties between the two countries will fit into the broader diplomatic and economic engagement between China and the Pacific Island countries?
There are already initiatives that China has spearheaded in consultation with countries in the region. We have the Poverty Alleviation Center, as I made reference to. We have a police college. You have a police college in Fujian Province, where Solomon Islands and other Pacific countries send their police officers in terms of capacity and capability training. There are also initiatives in terms of natural disaster emergency situations where China is also prepared to help. So there is scope for expansion in terms of our cooperation, not only Solomon Islands, but the other Pacific Island countries as well, working closely with China.
One of the goals that you have raised for your government is for Solomon Islands to graduate from the world's least developed countries in the year of 2027. How confident are you, and what might be the roadmap to that goal?
We are working very hard. And trade is one of the strategies we are going to use in order to prepare for graduation. China is a huge market, as we know. During this week, we've signed a number of protocols covering a number of products that we can export to the Chinese market. Mm-hmm. Of course, there is still a number of processes that needs to be done on our side and in country. For example, the establishment of a national trade laboratory where we can test some of the commodities or products before we export them. But we would like to use trade as a strategy in terms of our preparations for graduation. We would like to ensure that our graduation is sustained and, of course, irreversible.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, you are a seasoned politician and diplomat with experiences not only in the Solomon Islands, but at the UN, as well as some other countries. So how do you plan to not only enhance the country's autonomy, but also increase its influence on the world stage?
There are a number of platforms that one can use. Of course, in our region, we have the Melanesian Spearhead Group, sub-region. And similarly, on the regional level, we have the Pacific Islands Forum. That's a very important platform as well, because the challenges there for the region, very common. Climate change is the number one issue. And as a region, we have the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific, and that is the roadmap countries in our region use. And that is the roadmap we are asking our partners to align their programs and the priorities with. And of course, at the UN, there are a number of regional groupings that Solomon Islands and other countries in the region are also member of. We are member of the Group of 77 and China, and China plays a huge role in that grouping. Yeah. We also have the Association of Small Island States, the AOSIS, which is an association of small island developing states. And climate change, fisheries issues, environmental issues, other priorities in that grouping. So we have to work with like-minded states, like-minded countries. On your own, as a small country, it's very challenging out there, regionally or internationally. That is why these groupings are critical in terms of advocating for your position, or in terms of shaping international policy.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN.
You're watching CGTN with the latest market-moving headlines from around the world.
Welcome to the world today on CGTN.
Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference.
Mr. Prime Minister, let's talk a little bit about yourself. I noticed that you had 5 years of teaching at Solomon College, which was your former high school, and you started out your public service as a desk officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So how did these early experiences shape your understanding of public service and governance of a country?
My teaching years, I believe, were very important for me. It gives me that confidence to talk in front of people or in front of a group of people. I think I used to be quite a shy guy.
Oh, really?
But after going through those teaching years, I think that has prepared me quite well for my job later. Of course, then I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and went into some other training and had one posting in New York. But those teaching years were quite critical for me in terms of public speaking, for example.
Did your students love you as a teacher? Were they kind of in awe of your teaching? What is it like?
Yes, I used to hear very good reports about myself from the students. Basically taught social science and some economics at high school level. It was a great experience teaching. Of course, teaching, as you know, is a noble profession. What teachers impart to students is important.
What part do you enjoy the most about being a teacher? And what part do you enjoy the most about being a politician with the Prime Minister of Solomon Islands?
Very interesting question.
It is.
Yeah, very interesting question. Being a teacher is, you're always learning. You're always learning because when
Teaching while learning.
Well, yes, exactly. Because when you teach and when you ask questions, the students respond. And then simultaneously, you also learn. You also learn.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
What about as a politician, as a Prime Minister now?
As a politician, being a politician may not be the best job.
It's a stressful job,
It's a stressful
obviously.
job, as we all know.
Yeah.
But it's also a commitment to serve my constituency, but also my country, Solomon Islands. Being a Prime Minister, it's an awesome responsibility. It's a challenging responsibility. It's not easy, but it's a responsibility to which I'm committed.
As you said, this is a very stressful job, and I heard that you love fishing sometimes in your free time. You love it for fun, or when you fish, there's some thoughts that cross into your mind. What do you love about fishing?
I think it relieves me from the stress. I normally go out fishing when I go home for my break, for my holidays. It's a leisure, it's activity that I enjoy very much. And when you're out there in the ocean, in the sea, it's time that you forget about some of the pressures, some of the stress. But the joy of pulling a fish is always there.
What kind of issues kept you awake at night?
Interesting. Now the challenge is for our government to achieve a 100 days policy and program, but also going forward to do something transformative for Solomon Islands, to make the transformative change, and of course, build that national unity.
Transformative changes in terms of?
In terms of infrastructure that drives the economy. The economy is stagnant at the moment, and our challenge is to find ways, as I've said, to revive the economy.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, you've been here in China a couple of times now, and you have witnessed the changes and developments of China. What is your understanding of China's path towards modernization?
There are lessons that we can learn from China in terms of its development journey and experiences, especially as far as it relates to poverty alleviation. There are initiatives there that I believe can be also done in Solomon Islands. Of course, the national conditions or context could slightly be different. But I think the general approach and principles are there. It's not easy. It takes time. And it also depends on the commitment of people or communities in that area. We would like to move forward, but then the whole country has to come with us.
Actually, your visit this time not only coincides with the 5 years anniversary of the diplomatic relations between China and the Solomon Islands. Actually, this year also marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of People's Republic of China.
Congratulations to China.
Thank you. And what would be your heartfelt wishes to the people and the nation as well?
I wish President Xi Jinping continuing good health, progress and prosperity, and I wish all Chinese people, very hardworking people, all the best as they celebrate the 75th anniversary, but also going into the future.
Mr. Prime Minister, it was a great pleasure talking to you, and many thanks for sharing with us your insightful views and your analysis of the world's development. Greatly appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
During the interview, Prime Minister Manele once again emphasized that establishing diplomatic relations with China was the right decision made by the Solomon Islands. He looks forward to enhancing cooperation with China in areas such as infrastructure development and poverty alleviation, jointly address global challenges such as climate change, promoting a stable and enduring comprehensive strategic partnership in the new era. With that, we're going to wrap up this edition of Leaders Talk. I'm So Yun reporting from Beijing. Thank you for watching and see you next time.